If you are building with AI APIs and don't understand the pricing, rate limits, and quotas, like free or paid quotas, there's a good chance that you will end up paying for mistakes you didn't even know you were making. So, if you have started using Gemini API or any other API, you have probably asked these questions like, where can I see my API usage and token consumption accurately? How much free quota or paid quota, or how many requests do I have left? How much I have spent so far, and when will I start getting charged? So Google doesn't make this answer so obvious. So in this video, I will show you exactly where everything is, from getting your API key to understanding pricing, rate limits, and how to estimate your API cost before you build anything. If you're completely new, so here's how to get your first API key. So you need to follow these steps. You will get your API key, and that's it. You can now start making any API request using this API key. So now let's talk about the main thing, which is pricing. See, this is where the most beginners gets confused. Google provides two pricing models. One is free tier and another is paid tier, and this lets you to experiment with Gemini models without adding billing, but it comes with certain limits, and I will show you like what exactly those limits are. And the other one is paid tier, which will increase your this limits to up to tier 3, which is enterprise level from basic tier. And the important thing is pricing and rate limits are two different things, so let's understand both one by one. See, many people think they're the same, but they are not same. So pricing will answer how much money will I pay. Rate limits will answer how often or how fast can I use that API to make request. You could still be paying nothing but hit a rate limit, or you could have almost unlimited rate limits but still pay based on how many tokens you consume. They're completely different. Let's understand the rate limits. You will usually see three terms. One is RPM, request per minute. So if your model allows 30 requests per minute, you can only send 30 requests per minute, even if they're tiny requests like simple hello. The another one is tokens per minute. Instead of counting requests, Google counts how many tokens you're sending and receiving every minute. If you exceed that, your upcoming request will be blocked until the next minute. And the final one is request per day. Some free tier models or paid tier models both have daily request limit. Once you reach that, you will have to wait until the daily quota resets, which will be typically 1 day or 24 hours. You can check the free tier rate limit of the Google. So you just need to go to your any browser and search for Google AI Studio rate limit. Then once you go to the first page, which is by Google, so now just log in with your. So now you can see this is the rate limit I have reached so far. So now you can see Gemini 2.5 Flash is the model. Here you can see the request per minute, which is 5. I have exceeded that. Now whatever the request I make to this model, it will be blocked completely. And the next is tokens per minute. You can see I have reached around 118k tokens per minute at the peak, highest. And the request per day is 24 by 20, which I exceeded already. So similarly, there is another model like Gemini 2.5 Flashlight, where I have used 4 by 10. Like these are the metrics. So these are all the free tier. So you can see the tier here. So this is the free tier, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. I'm currently on the free tier. So you can just check out all the models, like what are the free tier available. These are the free tier limits. Like once you reach these limits, you will not be getting more limits for that day, particular day. This is last 28 days. If I just check last one day, so now you can see I have still left with the limits, like I can still make the request. So this is not accurate. Sometimes when you make a sudden API call, this will not update here. So because it will update based on some frequency, like per day or 2 to 3 hours. So there is one more way where we can check accurate results, which I will tell you in further shortly. So now let's come back. We gone to the free tier limit. So now let's discuss what exactly are these tokens. See, think of tokens as a pieces of text. Every prompt you send uses input tokens, and every response Gemini generates uses output tokens. Example, you ask explain recursion or some other topic in simpler terms, and that's called input tokens. You are sending all the text, like what are the content, into the model. And roughly one token will be equal to 0.75 word. That means 3/4 of the word length. And whatever the answer Gemini generates, it might be long answer, short answer, those are output tokens. Typically output tokens will have more will be more costly than compared to input tokens. So total usage will be based on input tokens plus output tokens. And to check that input, what is the pricing of these input tokens and output tokens, you can go and search for Google API developer models. So once you check, you can get the first website from the official Google. You can go to the pricing here first. Now you can go to 2.5 Flash. Now you can see this is the model, and you can see the output token price. This is for 1 million tokens. That means roughly 7,50,000 words. So if you generate successfully 7,50,000 words from the Gemini, you need to pay around $2.5 roughly. And if you input, that means what are the content you are inputting. If you input 1 million, roughly nothing but 7,50,000 words, you need to pay around $0.3 for text or image, or audio $1. You need to pay this much for this model. And this is the best cheapest model which have good reasoning capability. And another is this one also. This is also best model. You can try any one of them. So here is what, like here is where you can see the pricing and all. So once you have checked the pricing, now you need to calculate the API bill. So this is actually very simple. See, Google charges separately for input tokens and output tokens, as I showed just now. Every models also have some pricing for cache tokens and reasoning tokens. What are these cache tokens? Cache tokens are something which will be cached. That means you have recently fed this text into the context, into the like model, and next time whenever you try to make the same content, the request with the same content, it will be stored in something memory layer called cache. It will directly take the input from there instead of here, to save some pricing. This will be typically cheaper, so it will be have less pricing. So here they might give, you can see here context caching price. Here you can see that's like per hour. Like if you store per hour, it will charge around $1 tokens per hour storage price. If you enable the caching, by default it will be enabled, no worries. So reasoning token is nothing but, if you are user or you make a complex query to the model, basically it will think, it will reason first, like what exactly has to be done, or while responding the whatever generated content, it should also reason on that, right? So these are the reasoning tokens which will be calculated again separately, but the pricing will be same as output tokens. There will be no difference. Tokens usage will be separated depending on which Gemini model you are using. Different models have different prices, so always check the pricing before choosing any one model. Okay, so now you can ask, where do I see my usage accurately? Because I showed you, you can check in the rate limits here. This is not accurate. You can just get an idea, like these are the free tier limits, and you can just change the tier, and you can go to the tier. You can see these are the limits we'll be getting. So you can get plus 995 extra. So these are the things you will be getting in the tier 1, and you can switch to tier 3 also. And this is like enterprise level. So pricing will also be differ. So this is like one more question everyone asks. One is, I showed you just AI Studio rate limit dashboard. This is a quick way to view your current limit, but this is always not accurate. Okay, so another one is Google Cloud Console. You just need to go to the console.google.cloud, I mean console.cloud.google.com. So once you go here, log in with your email, whichever the like API you have been created, like whichever the email you have given to AI Studio, right? You log in from the same email and select the project. I selected default this one. This was on my project, and just search for Gemini. So once you search for Gemini, you will get Gemini API. Go to here, and now if you have enabled this one, like the services, it's okay. If it is not enabled, by default, if you use API key, it will be enabled. So once you enable, you go to the manage. Now here you can see the accurate usage. Now go to the quotas and system limits. Now you can see these are like, here you can see the exact accurate usage, like how much usage have been done. So you can search for Gemini 2.5 Flash. So you can search for any this one. For example, you can see like there are many things like paid tier 1, paid tier 2. Like there are many criteria on which you can check the quota. Like for example, free tier, right? This is the image. Let's see the content. Generated request per minute of a region. Yeah, you can see this one, and this is not available, I guess, for this model. Okay, fine. So now you can see here, like this is a general. So these are the name you can see here, like this is as per the paid tier, but you will also notice a free tier once you use or make a request from the free tier API key. Once you even make one request also from the free tier API key, you will notice here. And to know, like to get full accurate data, you can click here. So now you can see here, this is the current usage, which is 0%, and total this much you can request. Like this is the context size, and this is the peak usage, like how much peak usage you have been done. If I show on mine, right, I have done peak usage, I think 24 maybe in the last 28 days. You can see here, I think free tier. Okay, it is not showing. Okay, however, I think you understood, right? So this is the current usage. You will get the current usage, how much you have been used. And if you just go to the 7 days to 2 days, you can see any of the data. Because I have not used this paid tier model, I have been using this free tier model. This is not being shown here regarding my data, but you can check out here. So just let me check if there is free quota, this one, so that I will show you mine. Let me make a request to the model. So now you can see here, I made a request to the model just now. So now you can see here, I made a request to this model. So now it is accurately visible here. Now, so now if you want to check the complete details, you can click here. Now you can see this is the peak usage I did. So totally, basically, this is the peak usage I did in the total past. And if you want to check in the last 1 hour, so now you can see there are two requests I made to this model. So basically it's like exactly just now I made a request, it is showing. So now you can check like many data like something, so you can just download this data too, like how much actually been used. So this is very tiny request, right? That's what it's showing. So you can see the total is you can make 10 requests to this model. Out of this 15% has been done, that means 1.5 requests partially. So for this flashlight, the same model, right? This one is a request per day and this is per minute. So per day is maximum 20, as I said, right? So in the 20, I have made one already just now, right? So you can see exact, so but you cannot see exact here. So that is a problem with this rate limit, but you can just get an idea like how much maximum request you can make at max in the free tier, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So once you understand these terms, it will be easier to calculate your cost, and you can make even the cost usage less by seeing how much tokens has been sent. For example, I just made a request, right? I will always track this one, input tokens and output tokens. You can see here the input tokens are 2354 and output are 1846. Total is 4200 tokens and cache ready is 0 tokens. So this is the total consumed. So like this you can even like track every each and every request, whether you are building AI agent in NI10 or LangGraph, Langchain, any platform. Just you need to keep track. So if you keep track, you will get accurate cost estimation. So let's come back to here. So here you can track basically token usage in the Google Cloud Console, current quota, RPM, TPM, RPD, and even number of requests. So and one more thing is, if you are using Google Cloud Billing, you will also be able to see the estimated charges there. Here you can just go to the billing here. You can see the total. If you are in the tier one, if you are in free tier, that is not required. Okay. So this will regularly helps to avoid unexpected bills. So now which Gemini model should beginners use? So if you're just starting, don't overthink. Just you can go with the Gemini Flash models because it's faster, cheaper, and more than enough for the chatbots, automation, and summarization, and most applications. So for the larger reasoning models, only when your application genuinely needs, you can go with them. Otherwise you are just increasing your cost using these larger reasoning models. Okay. So how do I estimate my API cost? The simple way is to think, ask yourself how many users will I have and how many requests average a user can make. For example, a user can make 10 requests. So if there are 10 users, 10 tens, it will become 100 requests. And approximately how many input tokens are sent? Like suppose here I sent around 2000, like 2.3k, right? You can just make 2.3k into 100, you will get the input tokens, and similarly you will get the output tokens. And just it's a max, like you can go to the this one pricing, and just once you go to the pricing, you can just calculate based on the pricing how much price it will totally happen. So by this you can calculate accurately how much cost it will take to use any Gemini models in order to fulfill your business. So this is, so you need to know this. So once you know these four numbers, you can estimate your monthly API cost fairly accurately before launching your application. So and most beginners skip this step, and that's why they are surprised by their bills later. So let's wrap up. I hope this video cleared up on the confusion around Gemini API pricing, free tier, and rate limits. So this will apply for all the other models like OpenAI, Anthropic, and like all other models are there. Just they are paid tier, and the only model which will provide the free tier is the Google Gemini. And there are some other cloud platforms like Grok and all, they will also provide. Like if you found this video helpful, you can consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next one with an interesting one. So thank you.